doing, brother?
Not too bad, bro. How are you?
I'm doing okay. Thank you very much. All right, so I appreciate you doing this, man, because I'm a huge fan of your work and the work you've done with the Four Owls. So, um, I mean, you guys, the start of the video or the start of my channel started with the Four Owls, right? I mean, it was the first group I heard from the UK, and
Yeah.
that's what launched this channel and my love for UK hip hop and what you guys do. So, um, yeah, I really appreciate you taking the time to do this. And I know, I know a lot of the people who subscribe to my channel are grateful for the way that you guys interact with me, and it feels like brings them closer as well too. So I appreciate that.
Oh, thank you, man. Well, yeah. I mean, first of all, I appreciate you showing our music love. And it's a pleasure to come on and talk to you. I like your breakdowns. The analysis I think is very on point and very thoughtful. You kind of it's funny. I was speaking to my good friend Kashmir from Strange You, and he was saying the same thing about how, like, one of the last Strange You things you did, you really picked up on things that he didn't realize, well, he didn't think, sorry, that a lot of other people would have picked up on, just like references here and there, and maybe more subtle references and stuff.
Mm.
So but aside from that, it's just great that you're doing it from a place of love, like really getting into the music, following the old school UK stuff as well, and also not just the obvious names, but just kind of following trails in different directions and talking about different people. So we all appreciate you, man. It's a pleasure to talk to you today.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Um, so I know you've got stuff you need to do. So what I'm going to do here is I just have some questions that I've written down because I used to do this for a living. I actually was a journalist for 12 years, but it's been a while since I've done it, so I get a little
Yeah.
bit off track.
Okay. Well, I've got time though. We
Okay.
got a good hour if you need it, man.
Okay. Perfect.
Yeah.
I was kind of surprised. So when I'd reached out to you about the interview, you mentioned that you're actually finishing up another album, another
Mm,
project, which
yeah.
surprises me because you got you and Ill Informed just it feels like just yesterday that album came out.
Right.
Um,
Yeah. Oh, me too. For me too.
yeah, so I guess before I get on to the new project, I want to touch a little bit about Foggy Skies because um, in my mind, it's one of the best hip hop albums I've ever heard. And Rotation itself is one of my. I've been listening to hip hop 35 years. Well, yeah, about 35 years. And
Yeah.
Rotation is one of my favorite hip hop songs of all time. I absolutely love it. Um, so my question out of that is that when it comes to that record, it seems like it has a certain feel and a certain sound. Is that going into that project? Was that your mind? Is that your mindset where you're going to focus how you did that, or
You mean the track Rotation specifically, or the whole project?
just the whole project? It seems like Ill Informed's beats were very similar in style, not sound, but similar in that feeling that he brought forward. And is that something you talked to him about at the beginning? Say, I wanted to have this feel, or was it something that you guys came together and it just happened?
Um, well, so this project, Land of the Foggy Skies, is the follow-up to the one we did in 2015 called Man with the Foggy Eyes. So we kind of, on the first one, the Man with the Foggy Eyes, we kind of had established a sound there. But I don't think we'd honed it. I think when I listen back to that one now, it's a bit more wild and experimental, which kind of good. I was trying some different things, and I think, but well, me and Bill both were in terms of the production and the writing. But with this one, I guess we wanted to keep it in a similar vein, but maybe it was more honed, I think, this time. And actually, the thing is, we started working on this probably in 2016. We did Nothing Is New and Fog Life. And we did a load of other tracks, but those are and Sun Rays with J-Man. So those three we did in 2016 with a few other tracks that didn't make the cut. And then we kind of put the project down for a while for no particular reason, but I think, we had the title straight away, and we knew that. So Man with the Foggy Eyes was focused on a character, and Land of the Foggy Skies was going to be more about the environment as a whole. that character was from. Um, so there was a lot of thought behind the themes, and we kind of knew the sound, but I just don't think we were in that place. And it took a while. Like we had a few sessions, I think maybe 2018. I mean, we saw each other in between those times, but I'm just saying, like, we're actually working on the project. We took a lot of gaps in between, and then I guess last year, 2020, is when we really, really got into it and pushed to finish off the project. So it kind of happened naturally. Really, we did have an idea, but one thing I say about Ill Informed, he works on so many projects, but he's great at making folders for different people that suit them, because he has different styles of stuff that he makes. So he would send me specific things he thought would work for the project. And of those batches, I would obviously just pick what spoke to me or what I had inspiration to write to. So yeah, that's how it all came about in that respect.
Okay. That was actually going to be another question I had. But um, so, with that in mind, going forward, the new project you're working on, is that going to be using different producers, or are you working with this one producer in particular, or?
So the next one, which I've nearly finished, is the trilogy. It's the third part, so I'm not ready to release the name yet. It's not 100. Well, actually, I think I got it. But yeah, we're finishing it off. So it's yeah, again, it's all an informed production, and me on the vocals. We've got a few good guests. Trying to get a few more, but I think by the end of this month, May, we should be finished recording, and then and the artwork's been started. We filmed some videos, so we're aiming to put this one out December this year, which would be a year on from when we dropped Land of the Foggy Skies. And I think maybe years ago, I think I used to do like an album a year well, there was a run where I did an album a year, and then I started leaving longer gaps because I was touring more. But obviously, because we haven't been touring, I've just been writing, recording. So it was made a lot quicker than the last one, but I maybe put more hours into this one than I did the last one, just because I've been solidly working on it.
And I know obviously you haven't been touring because of COVID. How has it affected you in like musically? I know it's given you more time to write and record, but has it had any other effect in terms of what you're writing and how you're writing it, uh, perhaps? Or I
Um,
know.
yeah, subconsciously. I haven't really meant to. I mean, I haven't got any tracks specifically about COVID and the whole situation. I think people kind of can go anywhere and see that. But I guess maybe subconsciously the reaction to how the world's changed, that's definitely come out in the writing. Um, but it hasn't changed how I make anything. I mean, actually, Land of the Foggy Skies, we finished recording that during the worst part of the pandemic. So and I think maybe some of that came out in that album too. But no, I mean, it hasn't really changed that much for me. That's the one area of my life, apart from doing live shows, but music has not been anything different. If anything, it's become even more of an escapism than it usually is. Um, but no, I think it hasn't changed that much for me, to be honest.
So I got to tell you, I'm kind of jealous because um, before we actually knew what COVID was going to happen, like what kind of effect it was going to have on the planet. I had actually made plans to come to the High Focus birthday party.
Oh,
That Yeah, like I was so excited to get there for that, and of course, COVID became bigger and bigger and bigger. So now when I see you guys on Instagram talking about shows that are coming up in July, I'm so like we're still locked down here in Ontario and Canada. So I'm jealous, man, because I want to be there and see you guys doing this live, and I just don't have any idea when that's going to happen. But um, I guess going at that, you must be just chomping at the bit to get back out because you probably miss that the energy, everything that comes around the live performances.
Yeah, I mean, I was really missing it at the start. So like right before lockdown, we had just set everything for the 4 Hours Nocturnal Instinct release. We'd done the first singles, set up the digital release, had the vinyl pressed and everything, and we had a huge tour. Uh, Loads of shows booked in, loads more about to be booked in. It would have been the biggest tour we'd ever done. And so when that fell through, I mean, obviously there's the financial aspect, but aside from that, it was just, we don't do 4 Hours albums that often. And we had this huge tour hooked up to promote the new one, and it fell through. And at that point, I was just like, man, fuck. It's like, that kind of hit me, but I kind of got over that real quick. I think you just have to adapt to what the situation is. So yeah, I miss doing shows, but there's a part of me that was like, oh, it's quite nice being at home. It's quite nice. People know me. I like that. I like to just watch movies, write lyrics, just chill with the kids and stuff. Um, so there was an upside to not doing shows, but yeah, I definitely miss that connection with the fans. I definitely miss the art of performing. I mean, I guess in an ideal world, I'd just choose when and where I wanted to perform, just at any given moment, and that. But I'm eager to get back. Like we have two shows coming up at the Jazz Cafe in London. Um, so yeah, I'm kind of nervous actually because it's been so long. It's been like a year and a half since my last show. So I've been trying to exercise more, stay in shape, so I have the cardio, so I can do the two shows.
Oh man. So you brought up the 4 owls. Well, I mean, I know I brought them up too, but I recently saw in an interview, and I hadn't heard this before, but that you weren't originally part of the group, and that you were asked
Yeah.
to write for a track, and then you wanted to write for all the tracks or a few of the tracks, um, and then eventually became part of the group. My question for you is, what was it about those three guys and what they were doing that attracted you, that made you want to be part of that movement, that sound?
Um, well, I knew so Flip Tricks I had known since before there was a High Focus. And actually, funnily enough, uh, see, I'm like 5 years older than the other guys in the group. Um, and back then, like I had had more music out than they had, and had kind of because I don't know if I think you know about Low Life Records, right? Because you've done some
Yeah.
reactions to Low Life stuff. So um, me and Kashmir had a project together on that label, and so through that we toured quite a lot, and that was kind of like my first run, I guess, as an artist. And obviously had the album with Harry Love too. He was a part of that run as well with me. Uh, but then, so I met Flip Tricks before High Focus, and we connected. And he had an album which he put out before he had a label. He just put it out himself, and I was on that. And when he was doing Theory of Rhyme, he was trying to get signed to Y&R, which is Jeff's label. And they were like, "Look, we want to put your stuff out, but we just don't have a space in the schedule." So that's when he started High Focus. And the first few releases, there was the Theory of Rhyme album by Flip Tricks. There was the Dirty Dyke, Constant Dyke Star. There was Jam Baxter's first album. Rinse Out Friday, Spack Out Monday. It was like a double album. So I featured on a few of the early releases from High Focus anyway. So I knew Leaf and BVA. And actually, when I did a tour on that old run when I was on Low Life, randomly they supported me at one of the gigs and I met them, but we didn't speak again for years because I don't think we exchanged any information. But it's just interesting to me that I met them when they did one of their early shows. Then we ended up in a group together. But to go back to your question, so when they did all the planning work for that album in like a weekend. They picked the beats, they picked the topics for each track, and they started to write to them, but they weren't finished songs. And originally, I think they sent me Life in the Balance, maybe, um, which I did the hook on and a verse. But they sent me a few. I can't remember exactly how it went down, but I heard a few of the tracks, and I was like, look, I mean, I'm happy to write to a couple of these. I think maybe Fliptrick suggested I could write to a couple if I wanted to, and so I was like, yeah, I'm down to do that. Really, at that point, I was writing the Morning Process album, but also just writing all the time anyway. I was kind of in a really mad, prolific stage at that time, and yeah, so they sent me the whole thing, and I just ended up adding verses to every track, apart from Betrayal, which is just Lee from BVA. And then we needed one more track, so I set off Burning Vapor as well. And I just liked the sound. There was not really any deeper thought behind it. I wasn't thinking, oh, this is a movement or this is going to be huge. In fact, I just thought it was going to be a one-off project, something fun to work on with those guys, and maybe we'd do a few shows for it and then go back to doing our solo stuff. But little did I know it would blow up and be, one of the biggest things I was ever a part of, and lead to working with Premiere and all these different crazy things. Yeah, so a lot of things happen by accident. Even the name, the 4 Hours, kind of happened by accident. In fact, I don't know if this is out there in the other interviews or whatever, but originally when it was just the three of them, they were going to be called the Owl Trinity. Um, and then they got me involved, and we were just going to be called the Owls. But then I think there was another band called the Owls already, so it became the 4 Owls. And yeah, history was made, I guess.
And where did the mask idea come from?
Oh well, yeah, that was Fliptrick's idea. I think we all kind of backed it. The reason why is because, um, because we all had solo stuff out. We didn't want it to be like it was, Verb-T, Leaf Dog, BVA, and Fliptricks. We wanted it to be the 4 Hours, and that's why we created the aliases as well, because we wanted to take it away from us as solo, individual artists, and bring it together as one group with a whole new thing. And they also added a visual element which I didn't really foresee, but I think that a lot of people really picked up on that. Whether good or bad, when it first came out, there's people like, who the fuck made those masks? What the fuck are these idiots doing? But then there was a whole load of other people that loved the masks. So, but either way, it did stand out. I remember the first show we did as well was no, maybe not the very first one, but one of the first ones in Oxford. Um, and is before going on, and we're like, nah, I don't want to wear that mask on stage. It's gonna look stupid. But then we ended up doing it, and the funny thing, it had that effect. As soon as we went on stage, everyone just, as soon as they see you with the mask come out on stage, it's like they're already reacting and like eager. It's not just some dude just walking out like any guy from the crowd is. So yeah, it's worked in our favor, but it was never really like, for me, I don't know. It just all kind of happened, that it's like, yeah, there was definitely planning behind it, and we all worked really hard to make the group what it is. But it, I don't know. A lot of it seemed to just happen.
So, what I have here. I don't know if you've heard me call you. The first time I did it, I was kind of worried about it, but I at the beginning I started calling you the dad of the 4 Owls because I kind of felt.
Yeah, that's accurate though. That's accurate because I'm the oldest and I've got like loads of kids. So.
and I guess that's I kind of picked up on the fact, if not that you were the other guys were immature, but I guess kind of felt like you were like the grounding father-like figure of the three guys is kind of how I picked up on it. But
It's very accurate. Plus, we have a song called Four Elements, and I'm Earth in that song. So, yeah, that works. No, that's accurate, though. That is accurate.
um, so one of the things that I mentioned in one of my recent reactions, that people start having expectations. We stop seeing artists as people and we start seeing them as entertainers, and I want to be entertained. And these days where it seems like everything is so disposable and everybody wants stuff immediately. Um, And then even when you said, oh, we don't do many things as the Four Owls. I get that, like, that fan of me is like, yeah, but I want you to, like, I need you to.
Yeah,
And I was like, when's the next one coming? Meanwhile, I'm still playing Nocturnal Instinct all the time, and it's brilliant. But as a fan, it's like, I want more. I want more of these guys together. Um, so I don't want you to give anything away, but have you guys talked about? I know I saw on Flip Tricks mention something a while back where he's excited for the next one to a certain extent, something like that. Is that something you guys have talked about, or perhaps doing something sooner rather than later?
we have, yeah, when we did talk, we were like definitely didn't want to leave it another 5 years because each of the albums I think has had like maybe 4 or 5 years in between. Oh no, four. Man, I can't remember, but yeah, like a good few years in between. So yeah, we definitely did talk about trying to do something sooner. It won't be this year, but I'm hoping maybe next year. But that's not a definite yet. But when we talked about it, we're all eager to do more songs together. And actually, we've done tracks, which will probably end up on our solo stuff. So there will be like on, for example, on Land of the Foggy Skies, you've got the track Lifesaver, which is a 4 hours, all of us. On Flip Tricks' album, there's a track called C4, which is all of us on. Um, and I recently was in Bristol and did a couple of tracks with Leaf and BVA. So we're definitely working together. In terms of 4 hours, it kind of takes some sort of alignment. It's weird, like we all want to do it, but it just takes ages for us to all end up in the same room because we can't really work on music separately as a group. It just has never worked for us that way. We always do our best stuff when we're together in the studio. So that's why it takes a bit longer. And I think also, as much as we like each other and we're really good friends, I think if we were trying to be in the same room every single day making music, we just get a bit sick of that environment. Like we could hang out as friends, but all the time and be cool. But like I think we're all quite controlling in our own ways in terms of how we make music. So I think we need space to do our own thing before we make music together as a group. I think the other guys would agree with me, but if not, that's my opinion.
Well, and I do feel, I mean, some of the solo stuff I've done uh, of the other three cats. I feel like I feel as if they are different when it comes to what they do on the Four Owls. It seems to be a different dynamic. The stuff I find the group is much more. I mean, I don't want to use the overused term, but it's more of a conscious sound. The lyrics are more about love and getting over your demons and getting past your troubles and stuff like that. It's not a whole. There isn't a whole lot of tracks where you're just out there flexing, talking about how cool of an artist you are, which
Yeah.
um, which draw me being 47, I'm more attracted to uh, that conscious type of music with a message than I am about. I still like that once in a while when an artist will just go ham and
Yeah.
show off their skills, but I'm more attracted to that sound. But um, I do notice a difference when the four of you guys get together. It's a completely different sound and what you
Yeah.
talk about. Um, so when I recently did some Lunar Sea stuff, and I've been told to check out his battle rap.
Okay.
So when I was going looking for his battle rap, I see that you have battle rap. I haven't
Oh,
listened.
here we go. Here we go.
I haven't listened to anything because what I like to do is, in case I ever decide to react to any of it, I want to hear it for the first time.
Okay.
I don't want to hear it and then be like, okay, well, I'm going to react to it. So I haven't heard any of it.
Hmm.
So this question may be completely off base, but
Okay.
so I don't know what you've said, like how you actually battle rap. But when I think about when I listen to Land of the Foggy Skies and then think of that artist that you are now, and
Mm.
think, how could this guy be a battle rapper? Um, because not that you don't have the skills to do it. What I mean is like the things that you talk about in that um, is spiritual is the wrong word, but to me, it just has has substance. So for me to see what you do here, I can't imagine you going in and talking about like battle rap. So what I'm trying to, I guess, what I'm trying to get at is how did you go from being a battle rapper to to over time becoming someone who releases Land of the Foggy Skies?
I mean, to be honest with you, I would never really have considered myself a battle rapper at all. Um, I did some, but for me, even before that, I was making albums. So that's always been my primary focus. For me, when I did the battles, I was a fan of watching them, and it was just like sport for me, just like Sunday league football or something. Just a little, a little. I kind of enjoyed the craft of it, and also learning to you have no beat and you're in the middle of a pit surrounded by people. It was pressure, and it was to test myself. And I wasn't that good at it. Truth be told, I was pretty awful, really. I had my moments. I had my moments. I particularly enjoyed me and Joker Star. We did some 2-on-2s, and I enjoyed those because we traveled to a few different places in the country to do them, and it was, yeah, that whole process was fun. And there was a lot of real nice people in that scene as well. But I think my issue with how I adapted to that world is that I fell into a lot of the cliches where I was, you know, um, shagging everyone's girlfriend, and you know, their MC friends were actually their homosexual lovers, and all those cliches like I'm gonna kill you, I'm gonna do this and that. I kind of fell into a lot of those, but then in between those moments, I did have some more thought out stuff where you kind of break your opponent down a bit. You kind of look at their style and things they've said and try and turn it against them. But yeah, it was never really. I just did it. See, in an ideal world, it would have just been done live on the day. You have the crowd reaction to it, which when it goes off, it's a real buzz to drop a line live and have the whole crowd erupt. But then when you forget your shit, that's another thing. It was a written format, and I never used to actually write things down for battle rap. I used to memorize it all in my head and kind of, okay, I'm going to go from this bit to this bit, and then I'll have this bit just in case. And I should never have done that because I didn't spend enough time on it, and I never really committed it to memory properly. And so there were so many times where I just drew a blank in the clashes I did. Um, but yeah, it was cool. I think it's been like maybe 10 years since I did one, but it was never really. I don't think my heart was ever properly in it. I just enjoyed it, and I liked a lot of the people that were a part of it as well. Um, so yeah, it was like, yeah, I mean, don't watch them. Basically, I'm saying.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So keeping that in mind, so um, what has been the biggest? Um, Now, again, going back to what I said, I don't listen to the music until I react to it. So I haven't got to a ton of your older stuff. I have done a few things, like I did that track with Flip Tricks and Kashmir. Um,
Oh, yeah,
uh, I can't remember the name of it now. Something about falling
tearing the
down.
sky.
Yeah, tearing the sky down. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so back then, I see you still have similar. Uh, the things that you rhyme about are similar to what you do now. But what has been, I guess, thinking about where you started to where you are now, what has been the biggest influence on your actual lyrics and career in terms of what you put on uh, as you're writing a verse and stuff? Is it having a family and children? Is it I know you've had some health problems, which we won't get into, but is all that kind of pieces to the puzzle to who Verb-T is as an artist today?
Yeah, definitely. It's it's funny because I can put on different albums. So I guess if you take Morning Process, that was kind of a real turning point for me. It was like the first album I did on High Focus. I think I had kids already when I made other albums, but it's the first time I was in like dad mode fully, on the Morning Process album. And also I finished writing that album when I was in hospital. So all of those things came up, and yeah, it's a good way of putting it. It's all kind of part of the puzzle. But I've never I don't know. I guess I just talk about what's going on in my life whenever I'm writing an album. Well, not just going on in my life, but what I'm observing and things that other people seem to be feeling at the time. It all kind of feeds in to my consciousness, and I don't always have that where I'll sit down with a beat and think, right, I'm going to make a song about this. Sometimes I do. Like sometimes I think, oh, I really need to say something about this topic, but it's quite rare. Like I say with the 4 hours, we do that a lot. We'll think of a topic first, but with my solo stuff, the topic kind of finds me as I'm writing, if you see what I mean. So I don't know. It's my process has changed over the years though, because when I started, I'd just write whatever came into my head, just write whatever lyrics. And I'd fill up books so quickly back then because I'd just write verses every day. But I think that's your training. Like that's just getting into the habit of being able to write and flow to a beat and you know get your wordplay sharp and stuff. But that stuff is not in terms of wordplay and the flows that just kind of comes naturally. I don't think about those things anymore. I don't mean that in an arrogant way, like, oh, that's second nature now. I just mean as in like I don't focus on those things. I focus on like what I'm trying to say because those things are more automatic because I've been doing it for so long. So that'll just happen anyway. Um, but yeah, I mean, I guess that's the main thing I can say about that is that whenever you hear me write, that's you're really hearing what's going on for me at that exact moment. I'm gonna have to pause 1 sec because my kids are shouting so loud. Give me one
Okay.
sec.
Yep.
Sorry, dude, they're going wild in there. I had to quiet them
No,
down. Throwing me off a little bit. Sorry, man.
all good, man. All good. Um, so a question I forgot to answer or ask you is about the creation of your record label. What was the thinking behind that when you did that?
Um, it was so I had always well, not I had always I'd made beats for a while before and had always wanted to produce for other people rather than just produce for myself. I have produced a couple of my own projects. There was like the Selfless and Selfish EPs, and the I Remain album. I produced those, and I had a few beats on different projects of my own, and a couple on other people's. But so with the label, I wanted to take on more of a producer role and just find MCs that I just thought were good that I could maybe craft a sound for and put their music out. And then it kind of evolved into, I met a few people um, who I, like, obviously there's more one, Chill Man, Rai Shabby, Goose. As I met them, I just liked their music and wanted to help them put it out really. I guess with hip hop, one thing I always noticed that people did with me, like there was a lot of uh, people that were slightly older than me that really dropped a lot of gems on me, really taught me a few things about not necessarily the industry, but just in terms of live performance, being an independent artist and how to navigate that. And a lot of the people were really encouraging. I have to talk about people like Black Twang, Roots Maneuver, Task Force, Ty, rest in peace. People, Rodney P and Skits. All these people, like, um, yeah, they really kind of helped me progress in what I was doing and showed a lot of love. So that's always the same mentality I had. Um, if people would if I'd meet people and stuff and they'd ask for advice. And maybe the label was a bit of an extension of that, like wanting to do something to, yeah, just help the younger cats come through really.
Right.
But I do find it hard. I don't think I'm really built for running a label the way some people are. Um, So yeah, I think to an extent, I think I've helped some people get the music out there, but they're all dope anyway. So I'm sure they would have made their way regardless. But it's been a pleasure to work with the artists on the label though.
So speaking of that, have you over the past say few years, has there been anybody uh, that you've met through a younger cat that was coming up that just completely blew your mind and thought this person's going to be something special?
I mean, everyone I worked with on the label, I thought that with. I thought they all had something very unique about what they do. Um, So yeah, and unique voices, unique styles. Like that's what I really went for. I mean, obviously, I had to think it was good too, but it had to stand out in a way that they weren't like everyone else I'm hearing, because you got so many people that have talent,
Mm.
but a lot of people do the same thing. So it's like I can recognize them as good. I can appreciate, the way they write even might be individual to them, but then their style is not. And so I think that's really the outstanding factor, is someone's style needs to be very original, and stand out. But obviously, yeah, as I say, I have to think it's good too, not just original for the sake of it.
Right.
But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I find that's probably the biggest issue I have with uh, like North American hip hop is it is become a lot of it has become very generic. A lot of it sounds exactly the same
yeah,
for mass, mass consumption, and that's what it feels like. And I guess that's another reason why I'm drawn to the UK hip hop so much. Um, so a couple more questions for you here, and we'll wrap it up. Um, who do you think your biggest? You're talking about being influence to other artists,
yeah.
helping them. Who would you say is your biggest influence since you started your career?
I mean, there's been a few. I would say so. The first one was Slick Rick. Um, I was really young, and that's one of the first songs I heard was "La Di Da Di" by Slick Rick and Dougie Fresh. Yeah, I put that in a bar too. But yeah, so Slick Rick, his style was just so cool. Like it was smooth. His voice was like he had one of the best voices. He was funny. Like as a kid, he just made me laugh because he was a great storyteller and everything. But just had the coolest style too. So that's what really made me want to rap. And even to this day, like I still go back to his music. And it's kind of he didn't really release that much anymore. But for example, when he dropped that verse on the Most Def track, just came out of nowhere and had one of the best verses of that year. Um, and then there's like Gangstar, so like as a group, but the whole Gangstar Foundation though, but specifically Guru and Jeru the Damager, like that was in my sort of mid-teen years when I was really getting into wanting to be an MC. Anything Premier produced at that time, I would just buy straight away, or you know get a copy of straight away somehow. And Guru and Jeru, I guess because they had a more laid back tone, and it kind of fit. That's I think that's how my voice sounds best. I think there's been records I've done, especially the older stuff, where I've really tried to shout too much and be too over the top, and it just didn't really work for me. So yeah, they influenced me in that regard. And then with the UK, Roots Maneuver would be the biggest influence for me personally, just because he really made me see that, because at the time where he really came through, everyone else was doing like punchlines or stuff that was like trying to be, well, no, that's wrong to say trying to be political, but there were certain trends which certain people felt like they had to follow, and there was people trying to do too many syllables and flows and tripping over themselves a bit, and just the you have to cram this many punchlines into a bar and say it as loud as you can type of thing when you see open mics. Uh, but maybe not in the recording artist though. I mean, the the recording artists that came through that were doing well, they weren't necessarily like that. But either way, Roots Maneuver stood out so far, and it just made me see that you can just talk about what's true to you and what you want to talk about, and do it in your own way. And that's what's gonna, no one can be you like you can. Basically, it's probably
Mm.
been said by a lot of other people, but he's the first one that I really saw that in action. It's like he was just totally doing his own thing, and the music was amazing. So I didn't want to try and sound like him, but I definitely wanted to capture that same thing for myself. Just find my own voice and do things in my own way. So yeah, he in that respect, he's maybe one of my biggest influences overall. Um, But yeah, so those are the main, and obviously like Wu Tang as well. I was a huge fan of them from when they came through. Um, but yeah, I think those are the main ones.
So it must have been when you talk about Primo. Um, were you extra like when you had to write that verse for the two times now you've worked with them?
Yeah,
Um, was it like a little bit nerve wracking thinking like you get to work with this guy you've looked up to for so long, and then you gotta? Was it like a different feeling writing for him than it would be for say writing for Leaf or writing for Ill Informed? Or
yeah. I mean, the first time it was, funnily enough, when we did Think Twice, the first beat we got through, it wasn't quite right, and so we were like, "Oh man, what do we do?" And so we kind of Leaf spoke to him and was like, "Yeah, we're not quite sure that's the right one for us as a group." And then he sent through Think Twice, and I was like, "Oh man!" Like the first time I heard that beat, I was like, "Wow!" Um, and I did get a real funny feeling like listening to it, just thinking, "Shit, I'm actually writing to a premiere beat, and it's not one of someone else's record." Like, but then that only lasted for a very short time, and then after that, it was just like writing any other song. But when I got into the booth in the studio, I stood there for a moment and I was like, fuck. Like, I've never been that nervous, even at like a massive show or anything like that. But that, again, it only lasted for a few minutes, but there was that realization that, like, man, I'm literally putting down a verse on a premiere beat and this is going to be released. Um, and it was a beautiful thing, but it was scary for a moment. So I had to like take a second just to like get my verse straight and then do it. And after that, it was cool. And then again, when we released it, I don't know, for some reason I was super nervous, and I'm not sure why. Maybe it's because I felt like a lot more people would be watching now, or
Mm.
I was hoping it wasn't going to flop. I don't know. I didn't fix on any one worry, but I just felt a bit nervous. But then, yeah, it took off real well. People liked it, and it did a lot of things for us. It did a lot of good for us.
so one of my favorite bars on the latest album is "Everybody Wants to Play King Until You Check 'Em."
Yeah.
I freaking love that bar. So with that in mind, what is a bar that from any artist that you've heard in all the years you've listened to hip hop where you heard it and you went, "Shit, I wish I had written that."
Oh man, there's so many, but any question like this makes my head go blank. Um, um, man, I don't know. I'll say this: like, say someone like Big L. Big L had so many punchlines, not necessarily ones I wish I'd written, but just where I was like, "Holy fuck!" Like the whole rhyme scheme, and then he ended it with such a good punchline. So there's probably a load of Big L ones. I need to try and think of a good one now.
I
I
should
think the
have
pressure's gonna make my mind go blank.
I should have warned you about that question.
I know I would have found one. Maybe I'll find one and then I'll send it to you, and you can put it in the video description. This is Verb-T's.
That'll work too. All right, so my last question then is, if you could collab with anybody over here, over there, on a song, who would it be?
Um, I mean, I, I'd love to write to a Madlib beat. Uh, I think, Madlib and Alchemist. I think they're masters. They've been dope for so long, and the music they're still putting out now is just as dope as it's ever been. So I don't know. I don't really look at collabs in the same way anymore. I used to have a whole list of, "Oh, I'd love to work with this person or that person," but I kind of like them to come about naturally now. But Madlib and Alchemist, they're so dope as producers. So they're two names I'd have to say. In terms of MCs, I don't know really. Like the person I listen to most, right now, is West Side Boogie. He used to just be called Boogie, but the thing I like about him is that like he sings as well, but his rapping, like when he raps, I think he's one of the best out, full stop, because he can cover different type of topics. He's got punchlines, but also doesn't rely on punchlines. He's good at talking about like how he's feeling and emotional sort of situations as well. So yeah, he's someone I think is really really dope. And I'm interested to see what he comes out with next. But see, his production is not the same production that I would necessarily rap on. I just kind of admire him from an MCing perspective. But I like the music too because that's it comes as one. When you're listening to a song, you can't pick it apart like that. But um, so maybe I wouldn't like to collaborate with him, but he's someone that I find quite inspiring of the people that are putting out music now.
And actually, listening to you talk about Madlib and Alchemist, that makes me uh, gave me one more question I have for you.
Yeah.
Um, so when I listen to, there's so many great producers in the UK. Like it just seems like every time I listen to a new hip hop song from you guys, there's somebody that I haven't heard of that just blows my mind. Um, and for the longest time, I had like Leaf was my boy. Like I thought Leaf could do no wrong. He's the best that there is. And then all of a sudden, I start listening to Ill Informed, and then I'm like, holy crap, his brother is just as good or better. And then, so do you ever get it with these guys? And has it become almost old hat where it's expected you're going to get a dope beat, or do they still blow your mind sometimes when you hear what they
Oh
come out
no,
with?
they do. No, it does because they evolve over time. They and they work on they make so much music. Those two. I think yeah, like for this new album I'm doing with Ill Informed, like every time they'd send me stuff because I was kind of worried like we done two. It's hard to kind of evolve the third time if you know what I mean. Um, it's like Tribe Called Quest, Gangstar. They did it. I think Tribe Called Quest third album was Midnight Marauders, which is one of my favorite albums of all time. And Gangstar's maybe Daily Operation, but then they made Hard to Earn as well. And then Moment Truth like kept getting evolving their sound basically. And I think that's what Leaf and Ill Informed both have done. Um, so yeah, when Ill Informed was sending me stuff for this new album, I'm like, man, I'm actually really confident that we've managed to step it up a gear even on the last two. And I'm sure Leaf will do the same for the new Owl stuff we're doing because they just work really hard at their craft and they try new things, but they keep it within what they really love and what they're known for. But yeah, they're constantly working to improve their craft, like add new strings to their bow. Like whether it like for example, Leaf taught himself to play chords and stuff like that. And Ill Informed has added a lot of um, he plays guitar as well and plays bass on a lot of songs. And so not that everything now is going to be sample free, but there's just different elements and yeah, just evolve. And also they're adding to their studios all the time too and getting new equipment, which helps with that too. So yeah, every now and again I'll get new beats that it's like, man, it's probably the best beat they've ever made, and it's quite impressive after making beats for so long that you can still get a beat off someone and think, wow, that's one of the best things you've sent me before, or like we'll make a song and it's like, damn, that's one of the best songs we've ever made. So yeah, I mean, they're two masters of the craft as well, without a doubt.
All right, man. Well, thank you very much. It was an honor talking to you and having you on the channel. And thank you for taking the time. It means the
Oh,
world to me. So,
no, thank you for having me, man. It was a pleasure to speak to you on here, and yeah, maybe we could do a follow up in the future, man. If you want, it's always nice to talk about hip hop.
oh yeah,
Um,
for sure.
but no, it's yeah. Thank you for everything you're doing with the channel, though. Everyone over here really appreciates what you do, and yeah, I enjoy your breakdowns, man, and your analysis of songs. So I look forward to seeing more of those, and yeah, maybe seeing more interviews that you're doing with other people too. That would be cool. I think I think you did Verbs and Mr. Slips interview, right?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
Is that the only one you've done up until now? Until this?
Yes, that's the only one I've done. I was trying to get Barbarian, um, but we had some trouble there, and also Converse and CFAX. I was trying to get them, um, but haven't had issues, and even yeah, as you see with us, it was a hard time nailing down a time that works. So,
Oh
uh,
yeah,
so yeah, man, I love what you guys do, and it's become a real part of my life. Um, like if I'm not listening to UK hip hop, I'm thinking about it, or I'm reacting to it, or I'm telling somebody about it.
yeah.
It plays a huge. It's like a soundtrack of my life. Um,
I think
I,
that's really
you know.
cool, man. Like, yeah, that's cool.
All right,
Yeah.
buddy. I appreciate it.
Well, thanks for having me, man. We appreciate you too.
All right, buddy. Have a great weekend, and I'll talk to you soon.
Have a good one, man. Take care.